In the late 18th century, 13 colonies stretched along the Atlantic coast of North America. For over a century, they had lived under the rule of the British Crown. But by the 1770s, discontent was spreading. Heavy taxes, unfair laws, and a lack of representation in Parliament gave rise to a powerful cry: no taxation without representation. The roots of revolution were planted. Britain's attempt to control her colonies met fierce resistance. In Boston, protests turned violent. In 1770, British soldiers opened fire on civilians in what became known as the Boston Massacre. Just 3 years later, patriots disguised as native Americans boarded ships in Boston Harbor and threw chests of tea into the sea. The Boston Tea Party was not just an act of defiance. It was a declaration that the colonies would no longer be silent. The situation soon exploded into open conflict. On April 19, 1775, at Lexington and Concord, the first shots were fired. Ordinary farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers stood against Britain's mighty army. This moment would be remembered as the shot heard. Round the world, the American Revolution had begun. The colonies quickly organized. George Washington, a Virginian known for his leadership, was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. His task was nearly impossible. The army had little training, scarce supplies, and no navy. Yet Washington inspired his men with determination and courage. Then, in July 1776, the conflict reached a turning point. In Philadelphia, delegates of the 13 colonies gathered to make a momentous decision. Thomas Jefferson drafted a bold document, the Declaration of Independence. On July 4th, it was adopted. Its words shook the foundations of monarchy. Across the world, all men are created equal, endowed with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. With this, the colonies were no longer subjects of a king. They were citizens of a new nation, the United States of America. But independence had to be won on the battlefield. Bloody battles raged across the land. At Bunker Hill, the colonists fought bravely but were forced to retreat. At Saratoga, however, they won a decisive victory in 1777. That triumph convinced France to join the war, providing vital troops, weapons, and naval power. The winter at Valley Forge tested the army's spirit. Starving, freezing, and plagued by disease, many soldiers deserted. But those who remained were transformed under the training of Baron von Steuben, a Prussian officer who instilled discipline and unity. By spring, Washington's army was stronger than ever. The war stretched on, but in 1781, the final chapter was written at Yorktown. With French forces by their side, the Americans surrounded British General Cornwallis. Trapped and outnumbered, he surrendered. The impossible had become reality. The United States had defeated the world's most powerful empire. 2 years later, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially ended the war. The United States was recognized as an independent nation. Yet independence brought new challenges. Native Americans were displaced. Slavery remained a deep scar, and fierce debates arose over how this new nation should be governed. Still, the revolution had planted seeds of democracy that would grow far beyond America's borders. The ideals of liberty and self-government spread across the globe. From the French Revolution to independence movements in Latin America, people drew inspiration from the American struggle. The revolution was not just an American story. It was a turning point in human history. Today, its legacy is everywhere. From the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia to the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, reminders of freedom stand tall. The American Revolution was more than a war. It was a revolution of ideas. That ordinary people could govern themselves, that freedom was worth sacrifice, and that a nation built on liberty could endure. Born from resistance, forged in sacrifice, and defined by hope, the American Revolution gave birth to the United States of America, a nation that would go on to shape the destiny of the world. End with visuals of the American flag waving, fireworks on Independence Day, and orchestral music swelling.